Good afternoon, everybody. Hope everybody's doing good. Just waiting on my special guest to come in real quick. Just want to make sure everybody's mindset is good. Everybody's ready to learn. I know I am. That's the great thing about doing this too. Like not only are, we providing value for you guys, every time I, learn from another entrepreneur, I just come away with so much game. Like yesterday, talking to Millionaire Barber, talking to Driana, it was just so much information. Like even after I get off the live and I save them, I go back and I take notes from it. You know what I'm saying? So today we got the child care chick, and she's gonna give us some inside scoops on like her business journey and things of that nature. So we're about to add her in here right now. Let me just send it out. All right, there she go. Excited.
Hi, I'm finding you.
How you
I can't
doing? How you
complain
doing?
either. Thank you for having me.
Blessed and highly favored. Can't complain. No problem. Thank you for agreeing to do this. So, to start out, I just want you to, if you can, just give a brief
Sure.
introduction and
So
let
my
people
name
know,
is
your
Latrice. On
business
Instagram,
model
I'm the
and the
Child
things
Care
that you
Chick.
do and how you help
I
people.
own Kidsville Learning Academy here in Rosenberg. So I've owned Kidsville for actually we just celebrated our sweet 16 for 16 years. So for 16 years owned Kidsville Learning Academy. We have serviced thousands and thousands of families in my community over the last 16 years offering quality child care. And then I branched off as the child care chick and I help other people now do the same. And we'll get into kind of what made me start this child care chick business. So
Okay. Great, great. Love the story. For you guys who may not know me, my name is Journey D. Stanley. Graphic designer, brander, social media manager. My main thing that I do is help female entrepreneurs put their Instagrams, on autopilot, teach them how to create reels that drive sales. And I'm just really passionate about this. Started off in the warehouse, and I wanted to create a business model where I could pretty much work remotely and still be able to help people. So that's my story. So, without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get into some of these questions, so that we can just give you guys a little bit more inside scoop on like how to
yes.
win in entrepreneurship. Like there's so many ways to win, but the main thing is consistency. So I want to start by asking you this. What were some of the
So for
biggest,
me, it was
challenges that
because
you
I
faced when
had
you initially
nobody to
started your
ask
business?
for help. Um, to even get any information from. Like that's why I started the Child Care Chick. When I first started, again, 16 years
Right.
ago, Google was Google, but it wasn't like the Google today. So, and it was no coaches. Coaching wasn't a big thing
Right.
like it is now. So I literally learned
Mhm.
everything trial and error. So it was a struggle in this industry, just trying to navigate how to do things, how to continue to be different and be able to maintain longevity in this industry because I had
Right.
literally no help when I first started. So
Mhm.
that was one of my biggest challenges in the
Right.
industry. And then just, I was young. I was very young when I started my business. So learning how to manage my money. And that
Right.
was another bit. I didn't come from money. So when I started seeing a lot of money come through, I did not know how to manage it. I did not know nothing about taxes. So I messed off a lot of money in years for things that I did not know.
Yeah.
So those were my biggest challenges.
Mm. Yeah. So I definitely hear a lot of me in
Mhm.
that. And, for me, graphic design,
Oh,
kind of
okay.
started off as a hobby because initially, I was just an artist, like a music artist, and people were just charging me a lot for like these things called mixtape covers and stuff like that. So I started doing graphic design on my phone. So as I started to realize, like, hey, coming from extreme poverty, I was like, people may start paying me for this. So for years, I just got my LLC probably about 3 years
Mm-hmm.
ago. So for the longest of my business journey, quote unquote business journey, because I wasn't official, it was just me, DMing people, getting out there, getting my name out
Right.
there. I didn't know anything about, you know, business. So one of the main things with me was I didn't really know how to market. I was just kind of spamming people, you know, DMing all day into Instagram, kicking off
Yeah,
the platform.
yeah.
I lost like a few accounts because I didn't know what else to do, you know. So one thing that really saved me was, you know, when I started to like just watch YouTube videos and just to begin to even do what I'm doing now. Like, although
Yes.
those were interview type situations, I was still able to listen in on podcasts and just begin to follow my business, you know, after them. But it was very, very hard when you come from you know, a family where pretty much everybody's working, and then the
Yep.
entrepreneurs that you do know about, I kind of only found out about them later on, you know, so I didn't really know what they were doing. It was kind of hushed. And, you know, it sucks because sometimes I feel like, you know, if
Yeah.
we are around it at a young age, you know, then we can get acclimated, you know,
Yeah.
to it. So I just had to, even still to now, like I'm still, you know, learning, you know, and I'm still just trying to get,
None.
you know, to the
And
point where I
I'm
want to
kind
be
of the
because,
same
you know,
way. Like I was
it's
the
no
first person
cap
in
in
my
this
family
thing,
to
you
own
know,
a
you just want to,
business. So
you know,
couldn't
going up.
ask for them. They looking at me like I'm crazy. Like you're gonna quit your corporate good job that you
Wow.
just went to 7 years of college for to do this. Like I had just
Mm.
finished my master's degree, so they're looking at me like, wait,
Woo.
hold on. And you work for
Mm.
the government. You're about to quit to do this. And I did.
Wow.
Nobody saw that in my family. And again, I'm probably a lot older than you, even though I may not look it. So you
Mm.
part okay, we only 1 year apart? Okay. What
You
okay,
probably want
no, you
your
can't
part.
be. Okay. You how?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. My
I'm
son is
24.
23. Okay, give you
I'm
some insight. So
24.
anyway, so yeah, it wasn't any
Wow.
podcast that I could look at. So that I struggled. I didn't know how to run a business. I didn't know how to run a
Mm-hmm.
business. So
Wow.
it was a challenge because I just
Mm.
all my journey starting off was trial and error. So now I teach people how to not make the mistakes I made. I
Wow.
already made them. So you don't have to. You hire me and I can walk you through the journey and save you time and
Mm.
money. And you don't have to make the same mistakes that I made.
Mm. Wow. So with that being said, like, how did you like identify like where I needed to
Right.
grow? Because sometimes it's hard to figure out those money making activities. You know, especially when you first starting out, you just kind of doing everything on your own. So at what point did you realize I might need to focus a little bit more on this,
Let me
delegate this to
see.
someone else? You know,
Well,
so when did
I'm
that
a
growth
little
really start
bit by
happening for you?
nature. I
If that makes
always
sense.
like to be in charge, so it was hard for me to delegate. But I did know I needed to make some changes
Yeah.
when I started seeing all the money coming through my business, but I didn't have any of it. You know what I mean? Like, okay, wait, I made what?
Mm.
Where is it at?
Wow.
And
Yeah.
so I knew
Yeah.
I needed to figure out a little bit more
Yeah.
about business and money. And then two, another thing that I had to identify was my leadership
Yeah.
skills. I was losing staff left and right. And I was like, well, why they don't like
Mm.
me? Well, I wasn't being the best leader. You know what I mean? At
Wow.
that time. And again, I didn't know how to be a leader. I always went to work. So when I started losing staff, I knew that I needed to focus on how
Right.
to be a
Right.
better leader. And so I started reading a lot of books, following people that were leaders.
Mm-hmm.
By then, you know, podcasts and YouTube had started coming on the market a little bit. So I started watching YouTube videos and figuring out what I was doing wrong and how I could be a better leader. With my finances, I finally hired me a CPA. I started watching my money more
Mm-hmm.
closely, finding different tools and different programs to help me watch my money. But I had to identify the problem before I found a solution. And once I identified that problem with my staffing and being a great
Mm-hmm.
leader, then my business started taking off. Once I learned how to be a great leader, then I started delegating tasks. Then I was able to focus more on the money making task, which is the marketing, which is the staff and
Wow.
parent retention, because I wasn't doing the day-to-day stuff that I had started off doing as far as cooking, driving the vans and doing all this. I started delegating all that stuff so I can focus on the tasks that make the business money so that we can continue to grow.
Wow. Wow, that's so amazing because that's a big inspiration to me because you know I'm very transparent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still at the state, you know, in my business where I'm pretty much, you know, just
Mm-hmm.
doing everything,
Mm-hmm.
you know, on my own. I've been hearing a lot of talk about like using VAs, virtual assistants, stuff like that. So
Yep.
I'm just at that point now where I'm looking for, you know, the proper help. another thing that kind of gets in the way sometimes is just like my skepticism of, like working with people like overseas who I can't really touch or who doesn't speak English, good enough. So I've really been trying to find me a VA. I know it'll be a little bit more expensive, but I've really been trying to find like a VA, on this side. But
Yep.
I just feel like it's so great, you still got to keep going. You can't really put things on hold because
Yep.
if you do that, then you're never going to get to the point where you're just able to hire that help. So I'm just at that point now where it's like I'm still keeping the engine going while I'm still networking. And I like to see, hey, who you use? Okay, who you use? Because it's just like when I do it that way, it's like, okay, if that worked for you, I can probably get over the hurdles. So with that being said, I want to ask you about like
Oh
how
Lord.
much
Okay.
and those questions are some good
Yeah, I mean,
springboards. So I'm
sure.
gonna be asking you some other ones too. So is that okay? Okay, good, 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 good. So at what point did you start really utilizing like the power of like association,
So
like
I'm
getting
gonna be
information
real
from other
honest.
entrepreneurs,
It
like
was
one on one?
like when I really started really getting information from people and networking and doing that, honestly, when COVID hit. Before that, for the past 13, 12 years, it, I wasn't really networking like I could because I wasn't on social media like that. It wasn't really no networking in my local community. They're like, I ain't talking to you, you competition. If I would go to childcare classes, okay, I would
Right.
talk then, but I didn't keep in touch. But when COVID hit, and what's that app? Everybody was on Clubhouse hit. That's when the power of networking really took
Oh
took
yeah.
took
Yeah,
off
yeah,
for
yeah.
me.
I
To
never
be
did.
honest, I started meeting so many people on Clubhouse, and we started making these connections. Well, we were in the house, we
Wow.
didn't have nothing else to do, and then I just started really, really growing and listening and realizing what the people need help with. And me, I had been doing the stuff they're talking about for 12 years, but nobody knew. I wasn't on social media like that, so I started bringing the knowledge that I had forefront and started
Mm.
networking and things like that. But it was really probably for the last 3.5 years that I have really networked a lot, and I have learned that your network is your net worth. And so the people that I have networked with and been linked up with, and the
Oh
rooms that I've been in,
yeah.
and the tables that I have sat at in the last 3 years have taken my second business to another level that I never thought,
Wow.
I never saw. This was just like, oh, I'm gonna help a couple people open a couple childcare centers, and that's gonna be it. But where God
Mm.
has been taking me with this brand, just through the power of putting
Mm.
people in my life and in front of me,
Amen.
and putting me in rooms that other people invited me to meet other people. The networking is crazy. So that's why I always tell people, get out your comfort zone, go to these events, network. If you leave with one number, you never know. All it takes is
Mm.
one person, one piece of information to change your entire life. And people be over there like, well, I'm not paying to go to that event. All you need to meet is one
Wow.
person there. That one person can put you somewhere that
Oh
you've
yeah.
never been before. And trust me, I'm not telling you what I've heard, I'm telling you what I know. So
Wow. That's big. That like, cause
so
we
true.
hear that all the time. That our net worth is our network, and I feel like a lot of times, like when you hear information, sometimes it's like human nature. Not everyone, but it's just like I know in my life, like you will hear this information, you know it's the right information, but it just be something inside you. You be like, I just can't. I just wanna. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like when you do it that one time, and you really start seeing how it impacts, your business because that's what I got really good at. Like
Yes.
as you can see, I just got really good at, utilizing my Instagram platform to really connect to other, entrepreneurs. And from there, figuring out what do they do outside of that, like what events they got coming up and, really getting in the door. And it's been even times
Just
where
come
other people had to
on
pay a
through.
certain amount
Yep.
and they just rock with me and my personality. And they were just like, just come on in. But I didn't go in connecting with them with the mentality of, hey, I just want it for free. It was just like I was thinking on a genuine level, and I think that's big and important too because
Oh,
sometimes when you go into some of these
easily.
relationships and you have some ulterior motives, people can smell that, you know what I'm saying. So it's just like you gotta really do. I feel like personal development is so big in this thing because it transcends into everything that you do, how you do it, and how people remember you. And I just think that's so great
Oh, for
because I feel like
sure.
how you are as a person really can help you secure longevity, in your business. I know we hit on it a little bit, but I really want to know some practical steps that you took to
So,
really
like I said
ensure,
first,
your
get your money
long-term
right.
business success, if that
Watch
makes
your
sense.
money, know your money. Hire you a CPA, financial advisor, because that's the only way and build your team is second. You cannot grow a business without a team. You can't do it all by yourself. I've tried, right? And when I tried, I was in the same spot. The business was
Right.
functioning, but we
Wow.
weren't growing, if that makes sense. So you need to hire you a great team to grow.
Right.
Another step is
Oh,
knowledge. Get in a room, get around people who are already where you're trying to go, because you only know what you know. I need to know more. I'm always trying to learn. I learn every time I step in a room. I'm going to listen to learn something that I can apply to my business to continue to grow and elevate.
oh yeah.
Are you stuck? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. To continue to
Yeah, no, no,
can you hear
no.
me?
Yeah.
Okay, my phone was ringing. I'm always going to get in the room and continue to do stuff that will
Yeah, I can hear you good.
continuously elevate my business. So that's three tips that I would say. Get in the room so you can get around people, get all the knowledge that you need, get around people who like-minded people and people who are already where you're trying to go. Build you a team, because you cannot do it alone. You try to do it alone, you're going to be stagnant. And then you got to know your money. You got to watch your money, know how to
Oh yeah.
grow. And another thing I learned is the power of relationship building, and that's in my business too. That's why I have parents who are now they were parents 15 years ago. Now they bring their grandchildren here. They wouldn't go nowhere else in my community because I built those relationships and I stuck on communication and customer service. That, I pride myself in my business. Even my team knows, like, we're big on building relationships, customer service, and keeping our customers happy and just communicating with them at all times. Those things has helped me take my business to another level, along with also staying in trend and
Wow.
kind of just knowing what's out there and always putting my business, evolving in my business, putting new practices in place. I watch all industries. I tell people, yes, I'm in childcare, but I have friends in all industries. I study all industries, and I see what I can bring back to my childcare center and flip it to pertain to my business. You got to be innovative. You cannot be doing the same stuff 10 years ago and expect your business to be growing. So you got to be innovative. And sometimes it takes to get
Oh yeah.
uncomfortable, and
Yeah,
that's okay. But that's the
for
only way you're
sure.
going to grow and have longevity. Like I said, I've been doing this for 16 years, and that is the only way, those principles, that I continue to grow and continue to be relevant in this industry, and my center is always full, and continue to make impact on my community. Thank you.
Wow. Congratulations on that. And I noticed you were talking about, just book reading, because for me, like I told you when I first started, I had two tricks. It was post my work, spam people, and when I really got hungry enough, I really started to read books consistently as well, like even just audio books when I'm driving and things like that. And
Oh
even
yeah,
when
I
I
read.
was,
That's
because I
one of
was
my
reading all type of
favorites.
books, like
Yep,
you
that's
said,
probably
like
one of my.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, all of the
Yeah.
books. It was another one by him called Financial IQ. A few different books on marketing and stuff like that. And I really started to realize, like, I'll be regurgitating the information, like even when I would get on live, or if I would have to speak at an event or anything like that, I was just like, this stuff would start. I think that I wasn't retaining that much.
I heard
Then when
that
I
before.
started talking to
I
people, and
remember that.
I'm understanding the terminology, and I'm like, yo. And I remember I was talking to my younger sister. I was talking to my younger sister because I was trying to talk to her and try to just help her to, like, understand how powerful reading is. And I was like, sis, right now, a millionaire just said, hey, you can come to my house. You can ask me all the questions that you want. You can just pick my brain. Would you do it? She said, yes. I said, think about that, when
Right.
you read in these certain books. Like, this is the millionaires, billionaires, the successful individuals literally dumping their brain into these pages. It would be super smart of you, to start reading
Okay.
these
Yeah,
books,
you
because
can
I
be
always
now.
tell
You
her, like, you're
can
going to be
be.
a
I
millionaire
always
by the
tell my
time
kids, if
you
I
16.
knew
Like, that's
what
what I
y'all
tell
could have access to when
yeah,
I was growing up,
yeah,
I would have been rich a long time ago. Like, I ain't rich, but I would have had a lot of money. I would have, long time ago, I'd have hit my million long time ago. If I know y'all have the power of so much information. It wasn't until I was already
yeah.
deep in my business when this kicked in. And like I tell my children all the time, I'm learn from me, and you're gonna be 10 steps ahead of the game. So like your sister, she learning from you. You
Yeah.
know, I didn't have nobody to learn about this entrepreneurship game from. I was the first in my
Right.
family to do it. So now
Oh,
my
yeah.
children can see that, and now they can
Yeah.
be 10 steps ahead of the game.
Yeah. And it's crazy because it's like I had an entrepreneur type of mindset. You know, those people who is like they have a vision, they talking good, but it's like that consistency part, wasn't there. So I'm not gonna say no names, but this specific person that I'm talking about, like they were so creative, like designing things and just doing all of this type of stuff. But it's just like they always had this mentality of, oh, I'm not working no job.
Oh, God, yes,
But
I can
you
sense
don't
it.
have the money for your business and you saying you're not gonna work the job, and you know what I'm saying. So it was just like it's kind of like sometimes people can get caught in fantasy land, even if they're looking at these gurus and stuff like that. Like you don't know that back end story. You don't know. And I tell people who work a 9 to 5, like, yo, like that's your first business partner. Because even when I was on my job, I looked at it
Yeah,
like I
for
hate
sure.
this job. It's gonna make me go harder, but at the end of the day, this is how I get my money right now. This is so I feel like sometimes we'll start getting caught up into what people are saying, and we got to understand that we can learn from people, but at the end of the day, your journey isn't their journey. Okay, I don't know. We're gonna get it back. I think our phone might have died. We're gonna get back in here though. We're gonna get it back in here. Why the devil want to play, y'all? We're gonna get it back in here though. How y'all liking this so far? Let me know. We're gonna get it back in here. All right, boom.
My phone was beeping and I was trying to shut it up,
Oh
and
no, what
then
happened?
I don't know, it clicked off. The rest was history though, but yeah, so
And the rest was history.
entrepreneurship is a journey.
I'm trying to remember
Yeah.
what I was saying. Oh yeah, just understanding that your journey isn't someone else's journey, and don't make rash decisions. I tell people all the time, like you working a 9 to 5, don't leave your 9 to 5 until the income that you make with your side hustle replaces it, and then you got to take in
Slow
consideration
seasons. Your job, if
taxes
it's
and
slow,
stuff
they
like
still gonna give
that.
you
So
that
you got
same
to
check.
really make
But
sure
in business, when you
Yeah.
have a slow season
Ooh.
and you're an entrepreneur, okay, your
Mm-hmm.
money is not the same as it was last quarter because this is a slow season in this particular business. Versus if you have your
Oh yeah.
job, you're on salary, it don't matter about the business being slow. That's not your problem. You're gonna get that check. You do have to take all that in consideration. So I tell people like you, don't be just
Right.
so quick to rush
Mm-hmm.
and quit. You have to have a plan. And I know with me, with my childcare center, I
Yeah.
wasn't able to work and open my business. That wasn't an option. How you're saying, like, keep your 9 to 5. Like, it was no way I could continue to work my government job and be here running my business. It's no possible way. But what I did do is had a plan. Like, I started saving. I spoke to my husband. We had money, put aside to be able to, live while this business grew. Because you have to have money, but every business you're not able to work and open. I wasn't able to do it, so I had to quit. But I had to quit with a plan. I didn't just up and quit. I made sure I had enough money cushion, so when I did quit, I could still afford to live in case the business took 6 months to get off the ground. I made sure I had 6 months of living expenses, and then of course I married, so my husband still had his income coming in. But we made sure we planned for this. We didn't just up and quit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's so big too. Like like me and my wife, we like we think of each other as like our business partners. Like when you really come together, I love the idea of just bringing two individuals coming together and building, because even when we sitting down now, like doing our budgets and stuff like that, you really start to see where the money goes. And sometimes it just takes you moving this money from here. Don't spend this money on this. Move it to this part, and different things like that. So that help is definitely big. Even people who aren't married or anything, but you have individuals around you and you know that they have some strengths. You know, y'all can switch off on this your strength, this my weakness, and really help. And you know, that's back into that relationship building and you know that teamwork building, because I feel like it's so big. And I heard, you know, you was just talking about those slow seasons. I definitely want to get into that. Like, how did you
Oh yeah,
shift
at first
when it
when I
came
first
to
opened,
like
it caught
different
me off
market
guard. I
conditions?
didn't
Did it
realize the
ever
kids were
catch you
coming,
off
boom,
guard?
boom, boom. I didn't know during the Christmas holidays all the parents started taking their kids out, right? When I first started, I didn't know that. So it definitely caught me off guard then. But I was able to pivot my way through when I first started. But then when I started identifying those slow seasons after my first year, I was able to already prepare by saving. Okay, we're gonna cut back when it's busy. I'm gonna make sure I save enough so when it's slow, I still have the money to afford the bills and to still be able to save. So once you identify those seasons, you need to make sure you budget for slow seasons. And then, like you said, I wasn't big into marketing at first, besides passing out little flyers, because that's all I really knew how to do when I first started 16 years ago. But now, you know, in the past 5 years, I have really grown a lot in marketing.
Oh yeah.
I absolutely love all things marketing. So I have learned when seasons are slow to do some other marketing tactics. Okay. So we don't really have slow seasons. We have slower seasons, but not too slow, because I know how to get people right. Because I know how to get people in now.
Yeah.
Now I know, you know,
But
how to
they
use social
always,
media. I have a lot of community connections. I know how to use my parents and implement my referral program. I have connections with the school district. So I now have different marketing methods when I know slow season is approaching. So we don't really have to worry about it getting all the way down slow.
oh yeah. And I would say the same
Oh,
too. Like when I just started
yeah.
really looking
Oh,
into and
yeah.
learning the power of emails and phone numbers, you know, I
Oh,
mean, like I remember that
I don't
time
think
when
it was
Instagram like went
that
down
long,
for, I
but
don't
I'm
know how
with
was
you.
I
I
think it was
remember
like
because I told
it
my
was
other
something.
business, I
And
I called my social media manager. I was like, draft up an email to say Instagram down, but we still up. Get 10% off or 20% off or whatever. And that day was cool. We had like a lot of sales that day. We used that to our advantage.
mhm, yeah, yeah, see that, and that's so
You don't
amazing too,
own
because
it.
it's
You got
just like
it.
this is a free platform, but
Yes,
understand that you
yes.
don't own it. But once you get that data collection, you own it. So when I really start understanding too, you know, like for me and my
Yep.
business model, like the power of, you know, lead magnets and giving people things for free and understand. I was reading this book the other day and it was like, look to expose people to your
Yeah.
information. I think it was like 7 or 9 times before you expect them to buy. So now when you're marketing, you're taking the approach of, hey, I want to provide you with value at least 7 to 9 times before I'm expecting you to buy anything. So that way, when I'm going through the buyer's journey, you know, you got the awareness stage, the consideration stage, the decision stage. I'm making you aware
Make a
and I'm
decision.
putting it in front of you
Yep.
in a way that you can consider what I'm doing before I just jump in front of your face like you don't know who I am, you know? So, and just different stuff like that, it translates to like you were just talking about earlier. You said you learn from different business models and different spaces and niches and stuff like that, and you was able to bring it over into your business. And I feel like that's so big. You know, you got to really be intelligent to
Mm-hmm.
understand that, because sometimes if like I was on a live the other day with Millionaire Barber and he specifically speaks to
I see.
beauty professionals and stuff like that. And I asked him, I was like, I'm sure you've seen people take this information in their field that has nothing to do with beauty and, you know, still win. So even understanding at that level, that even conversations that you have with people, there's certain things that I say to people, even when I'm walking around in the supermarket, like I'm like, hey, do you have a business or anything? Because I'm always looking to have that level of,
Never.
you know, education every single day, because you know you never know who you meet, and you really can't have a mindset of you're an
You know
expert,
everything.
because I feel like when you start taking on that, you kind of start to feel like you know everything. So
Yeah.
it's very important to always, you know, be a student, you know. So, and that's really helped me in my business. Now I want to talk about this, right? Kind of like those inevitable things that catch you off guard. So like running your business, not just during like slow money seasons, I'm talking about life, like when just life start life, and like how do you maneuver
Well, so for
and
me,
keep
I
that
always go back to my
determination when
why
things
I
get
started.
difficult?
So Trust me, we're running a child care center with 200 children, parents, staff. You gonna have those times. It has been times I wanted to quit, but I always think back to why I started in the first place. I think about how this business has changed my entire life, and I figure out a plan, map it back out, and get back out there. For me, it's no quitting. Like obstacles are gonna come. It's no quitting. It doesn't matter what comes my way. It's no quitting. So
Period.
I just figure out a plan and get back to it. Yes, it has been times I wanted to quit. COVID, I wanted to throw in the towel and sell. I just thought I couldn't do it. I just thought I couldn't do this no more. Things happen. It's times that I come in and I'm short staffed, like the whole world is short staffed. Like, and I had to be in a classroom again. I had to cook the food and drive. And it's times staff have made dumb mistakes that could cost me in my business, because again, I'm working with children, so I'm licensed, I'm regulated, you know, and I just figure out a way to pivot. I figure out a way to make a plan, so this won't happen again, and I make it happen, because again, for me, it's no quitting. So it doesn't matter what comes my way. This is my life right here. So I'm gonna make it happen one way or the other. And I look at it. So quitting is never an option. But when I do get on those down times, those times that where it gets hard, I always think back to why I started and what this business has done for me and my life and my family. And that's just gonna give me the fuel to keep going all the time.
Wow. That's so amazing, because I still remember, like, you know, I was an order fitter. I don't know what it is, but it's like you ever go in a Walmart late nights and you see these pallets stacked up with food and stuff like that. So I was just, you see, I'm pretty small. I'm only 5'4", and I'm in there like stacking these things up like 7 feet high, like for 12 hours, 13 hours, 14 hours. So very excruciating, you know. And I just remember being at the Walmart distribution center, just looking up, you know, it was this light bulb that I always used to look up when I was on this aisle with the dog food. And I'll just talk to God, and I'll just be like, man, if you get me out of here, I'll do, you know, whatever. And, you know, just being in a situation, you know, at a job that I didn't like, really just gave me that willpower that when I got out, like you said, I'm going to pivot. However I need to pivot, I'm going to be willing to pivot. If it's a will, it's a way. And I understood that exposing myself to information was going to give me a lot of ways. There was times where, you know, I would read something, I would watch something, and just that one sentence that someone would say would just, not even just on the mindset, like sometimes they'll give you some practical things that you can do. And I'll just be like, it's so crazy to see yourself a week ago feel like you don't know what you're going to do. And you keep exposing yourself to information and it just click. And it be feeling like magic. And I tell people so many times, like, yo, like, you have this is the biggest computer on this planet. If you feed this thing the right way, I mean, it's gonna, you know, and of course God, period, because he gave it to us. It's gonna take you wherever, you know, you need to go. And I just want to get deeper into, like, how did you successfully, like, pivot in your business and achieve success? I know we, you know, touched on the difficult times and stuff, but like for me, honestly, when I had quit my job, I remember calling my mother-in-law. At the time, she was just my girlfriend's mom. And I was telling her, I was like, yo, like, I really want to quit my job. Like, I can't do this no more. I want to do it. I don't want to do it anymore. And I remember I quit. I gave myself a month. Didn't even make it that far. It was 2 weeks. I called my aunt back. She was like a big manager over there at Walmart. And I was like, look, can you do something? I got to come back. Now, the second time I quit, I was like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. Somebody had called me. I'm going to drive Uber, and I'm going to work my business. And while I'm driving Uber, I'm going to be networking with people. When I made that play, I was like, wow. And then I was so mad. It might not have been the right time, though. I could have did this a year ago. The right time. Like, Uber was already out. You feel me? But yeah, you're right about that. So that was one of those times where, you know, I had to pivot, you know, because I went from a 9 to 5, you know, that's considered, you know, being an independent contractor. But that helped me be able to, you know, work around my schedule. So I know you talked about, like, the corporate situation. I love hearing stories. I be hearing them on podcasts about people coming from corporate, because I know that had to be tough. Everybody. Like, I know you had probably more people around you. Like,
because again, nobody in my family had ever been an entrepreneur. My parents, they taught me what they did, what their parents taught them. Well, nobody went to college either. But once I graduated college, it was like, get a good job. and retire. You stay there. You like it. They pay you good. You stay there 30 years. You retire, because that's what my parents did. So when I was ready to deviate from the norm, they're like, wait, you're going to open what? And you don't know how much money you're going to make. And you know that at least over here you're safe. But I was willing to bet on myself. This was definitely God's plan. And I knew it was God's plan. I could feel it every single day. He was tugging at me. And that's what the only reason I quit. It was not my plan. I never woke up one day and said, oh, I want to open a childcare center. That's not how my story happened. Just a mom looking for a center, didn't find one. And God said, you the chosen one. You need to go change that community and do something for these children. And I'm like, no, not me, God. He's like, yes, you. We had this tug of war with he tugging at me at night and stuff. So I just went with, if I'd have listened to everybody else, I wouldn't have been here today. Right. I just had to bet on myself, and that's what I did. And I tell people all the time, it wasn't an easy journey. It was very, very hard. But I was determined. I stayed consistent. I was determined, and it was no failing at this point. I had quit my job. I had invested all the money we had. It had to work by any means necessary. And
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that, you faith-filled individual, because that was a big, part in my journey as well. God is so real. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like when he's not gonna come like my son, my daughter, but it's just like it's that still voice, you hear, and it's just like you'll know that you'll know. And I feel like what happens a lot of times is that when God shows us things, that sometimes when God shows us something, what happens in the world is everything almost looks completely opposite. So that's why it's so important to have faith. It's so important to have motivation, and to just begin to fuel yourself with the right information. Sure. I'm not just talking about business now. I'm talking about like mindset, putting on those motivating videos, putting on those sermons, or whatever y'all believe in. But I believe in God. I believe in Jesus Christ. So just putting on those sermons and putting on those things that's gonna keep you amped up and keep your energy flowing. Because at the end of the day, if you're depressed, and I've been riddled with depression a lot of times in my life, and you riddled with those things, you can't even show up. You can't even be the best version of yourself, because I still remember like kind of waking up and just kind of like looking up at the ceiling like, I don't even want to do. I got clients now, money's coming in, but it's like I don't know what's going on with me. So mental health is very big, and I know me and my wife, she's a psychologist, she's in school to be a psychologist, and we just really big on mental health. So did you ever have times where
all the time, even today,
mentally
even to this day,
so
I have times
draining?
that I'm mentally drained, but the luxury of it now that I have set my business up where it is. Matter of fact, I was just telling my aunt this yesterday. She's like, you work so much. I said, let me tell you about the beauty of being an entrepreneur and the way I have my business set up. I do work a lot, but if I don't want to go to work, I don't go to work. Like if I wake up today and say, I ain't doing nothing, nothing's going to happen. The business are still going to flow. And I have days like that where I'm mentally drained. Matter of fact, yesterday was one of them. I just was like, I ain't going nowhere today. I'm not doing nothing. I'm just laying in my bed. I'm chilling all day. And I woke up and thought that. So I do have those mentally draining days. I'm good with stress. I'm a person that handles stress pretty well. But when I feel it, the older I'm getting, because I'm getting older, I can feel when like, I'm getting really anxious and, it's a lot. And I just take a step back and be like, you know what? Take a step back. Just close your phone, close your laptop, breathe, go do something for you and come back to it. Because I'm at the point in my life now, like it'll still be there. Work will still be there. And again, I have people to run my businesses, so I don't have to be there. So the things that I'm doing on the back end will still be there if I need to take a break, because mental health is important. I do have kids. I'm married. Everybody's pulling and tugging at me all the time. And then in business, they're tugging on me. So sometimes I have to love on myself and just be like, not today. Or while they're at school and at work, I'm having a me day, and it's easier said than done because I'm a workaholic by nature. But like I said, the older I get, I'm identifying those moments when I'm drained and I just need a break, and I just go take that break.
Wow. And that, cause see, I used to run myself into the ground. Like I used to be like, hear ET in the back of my head, like, if you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, and I'd be like, no, you gotta go. And I remember even when I was on Uber, I'm like, nah, man. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But sometimes, but I'm
Yes,
like,
but
you
I wake
said
up at 3 and
something
I'll be
very
like,
important. If I'm not my best self,
you feel
I
me? If
still
I
ain't gonna
have to
produce my
run
best
myself.
work. So sometimes I gotta take a step back because I'm over here BSing because I ain't even
Exactly.
mentally I'm drained. So I ain't even producing what I need to be producing. So if I take that step back, I'm gonna come back stronger and I'm gonna knock it out the park. So yeah, I've been in the trenches. I've been in the hustle mode and all that. And I tell my husband all the time, at this point in my life, I ain't working that hard no more. I did
Yeah,
that. I've hustled. I've been in the trenches 10 years straight, sun
man.
up to sundown,
Whew.
building my businesses, my brands. I'm chilling now. I'm working as little. I'm gonna let things work for me, and but I've did my time and I've set my business. That's why it's so important to set your businesses up right and build you a great team. And so I'm not going back in the trenches like that. If I have to, now during COVID, I got back in the trenches for a little second, but I'm just not working that hard no more. I've did enough mentally and I don't want to drain myself like that. I get what you're saying, the hustle. And I tell people all the time, my child cares, when you're first starting, you're gonna have to hustle. You're gonna have to be
Oh
in
yeah.
the trenches day in, day out to get that business running. But if you do it
Oh yeah.
right, you don't have to wait 10 years like me. I can help you do it in a very short amount of time because now I have the blueprint.
Mhm.
Um, you know that you don't have to do it for 10 years. But yeah, I'm not, I love ET, but I want it bad, but I need to, my mental health is, so, yeah, yeah.
Facts. Yeah, you can't skip over that. I got a question for you. Like, have you ever thought about like actually like
I
writing
thought
like a,
about it,
a
and then it's
book
kind of like
on
one of
like
those
your
things that's at
journey,
the
your
bottom of my
process?
to-do list one day. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, I don't think it's that interesting, but people always like, "Are you crazy?" Like, but you know how sometimes we'll downplay ourselves. Like, I don't think my story is that interesting. I just quit my job and opened my center and made it work. Um, so it's one of those things that's at the bottom of the list if I ever decide to do it.
Okay. Because and just like we was talking about that voice of God, like when I hear him, I really just gotta obey. And I just really got some of my spirit to tell you. Like I really just feel like you're like your knowledge base is like extreme.
Mhm.
So it's like you
Yeah.
and it's like women naturally like gravitate towards you, like your energy and everything. And I just hear that for you, like not even just on the level of books, but even like, podcasting. But I just hear God saying that He's even about to free you up even more. Like it's almost like how sometimes people
Yeah.
you're like the owner, but then someone else is like kind of like a CFO or just someone else higher level. Like I see that it's coming to the point where it's like someone is literally going to come into your life, and I think you know them already, and it's gonna really clear you up on
Yeah.
time a lot more because God is gonna have you, start something else, and at first it's gonna feel like what, and then you're gonna be like, oh, this is like me, and it's just gonna happen because one thing I hear God saying for you is that you've always been very.
Yeah.
Somebody keep calling me. You've always
Yeah.
been very determined, and it's just like sometimes in your life you felt like there wasn't a lot of people like you around you, and God is just saying that He's pushing you. Like this year, like what you've seen this year, it's something, but it's not nothing to what you're about to get, like what's about to happen to you. Because I even hear God saying that you're about to get heavy into like government, like bigger into like government contracts. Like I see like you even doing some things like with high, like not just childcare, but it's almost like you creating these programs for like teenagers, and there's going to be a lot of
Oh
funding that's going to
my
come into
God.
that, and you're going to start raising these girls up like 14, 15, and like building them up in business, and it's gonna happen so quick. It's gonna happen so quick. It's gonna happen so quick. And I even see you traveling with them. And a lot of them
So that's
come from very
crazy.
impoverished
I'm
backgrounds.
gonna
These young
receive
girls
it
who are good
all
enough to actually
because
do
it
test
is
the
so
projections of
crazy.
their banking.
Like
So
God might have sent you here to talk because how we met
mm,
literally. You saw me on a live. You slipped in my DM. Now we're talking. Now you're telling me this because two things. I was in Atlanta
yeah.
probably a month ago, and my Uber driver. We started talking. And he said this exact same thing. Like, I see a book
Mm,
for you. I see you on these big
mm,
stage. I swear to God, I see you on these big stages. And I'm gonna follow you on Instagram and I'm gonna follow your journey because God,
uh,
he was very spiritual man. We talked the whole ride. He told me that God told him to tell me these same things. And then you turn around and pretty much saying the same thing. And then when you said these teenage girls, it's funny because I'm in the process of creating my nonprofit, and they asked me the other day, like, who is it going to be geared toward, and what is it going to be for? And I said, I don't know exactly yet. I said, but what I do know is I want it to be for ages 13 to 18, because they are the people that get lost in the crack. I service children 6 weeks to 12 years
Wow.
old, but it's that 13 to that about 18 that they're lost. They don't have any guidance. They don't have, a lot of them are latchkey kids. They're going home. They don't have any, they don't, their parents are working all day. So they kind of get lost. So I said the nonprofit is going to be geared toward teens. And then when you said, I see girls 13, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. Somebody asked, are you a prophet? I am, but I don't go around like,
But
it's
just crazy that you said that, because
Like,
I'm telling you, this was about a month ago. The Uber driver, we talked the entire ride, and he's telling me this stuff, and I thought about writing a book. He see a book in my future. He see me on these big stages, and God is already putting me in some of these places to be on stages and things like that. And then when you talked about, the teenagers, and I'm in the process right now of starting the nonprofit, and that was one of the last questions that they asked, who's it geared toward, and what are you going to do with it? And my first thing I said, I'm not sure yet, but it's going to be between the age of 13 to 18, 17, where they get lost in the crack. It's crazy, but I receive it. I receive it, and I'm gonna be, I'm listening. Whatever God got for me is for me. I do have so many things on my plate in the works that I want to do, and I already have someone. I am the owner, but I am not the director of my center, so I do not run my center anymore. So that has freed up my time. I pretty much do a lot of the childcare chick stuff full time. Because I'm not at my center, and this brand is just taking me again so many more places. So many more people are finding out about me. I'm networking with people, like I said in the beginning, being in rooms and people that I never thought I would see, sit next to. Who knows, little old me? And I feel like it's just up from here, and I'm ready. Like I'm ready. Yeah. So and I appreciate you reaching out and you having me. I kept your information because once I started looking at your page, I was like, well, dang, I'm always looking for graphics, and the people in my mentorship are always looking for graphic designers. Do you know somebody? Do you know somebody who can make some flyers? So, I mean, if you up for making some flyers for some childcare owners, I'm sure that I can help get you some business in that arena as well. But no, it's been all good, and I just appreciate you, having me on.
Oh yeah. No problem, and I appreciate you so much. And yeah, but we can even do like
we went live.
Like
I went live with her.
Like, are you familiar with a 6 Figure Spa Chick? Yeah, so like okay, so like I got like a partnership with the Spa Boss Tribe, to where I give them, a discounted flyers, and I actually, they have a portal that goes directly to my website. So if it was something like that,
a community kind of like hers, mine's called the Childcare Click. It's about 100 women, childcare owners. So far, but we're continuing to grow, and I just started in November, and we already had 100 members almost. And they thank you, and they're always asking about graphics, because I'm big in there talking about marketing, how to make them stand out from the other childcare centers next door, down the street, around the corner. And so a lot of them are like, but I can't find nobody, or I found somebody on Fiverr, but I didn't like the way it looked, or or whatever. So I think definitely we should have a conversation. We should have a conversation.
Okay, most definitely.
Well, I'm just going to
now, is there anything else that you want to, leave the people with?
If I would have listened to other people, I would not be where I am today. And then you could just follow me over at the Childcare Chick. Even if you are not looking to open a center, I'm always dropping gems about just business in general. So I don't always talk childcare stuff. A lot of the things that I talk about can be applied to any industry. So make sure that you follow me.
Most definitely. And for you guys right now, just feeling my spirit to do this as well. If you DM me the word reel, REEL, I'm gonna give you my ebook for free. You got
to me, I do reels all the time, but I'm always trying to learn more about how to make them better.
Okay. So I'm gonna definitely get it over to you. So just DM me the word REEL,
I appreciate you, and you enjoy the rest of your day.
And I'll make sure I get it over to you guys.
Thank you. You too.